Good morning. So I was not told that I was going to be on camera. And here I was just thinking to myself, I was going to have you all not even look at me. And now they tell me I'm going to be on camera. But here it goes. So I would just like to welcome anyone that haven't been here and has had the opportunity to be a part of this family here at One Spirit. So good morning, family. I have some pretty big shoes to fill this morning. But one thing for sure is truly an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity. And when he asked me, we had a moment where as we do some things together, and like I finished playing racquetball and I was tired because I was tired and he just sprung it on me. And he said, Bernard, I want you to do the service for me. And I was taught to just say yes. And I looked at him and I said, but inside me, I don't know where it goes. I really don't know where it goes. At least I should have been briefed on as to how this goes before I got up here. So maybe I'll just hold it. So, but inside me, something was saying, no, stupid. You don't say yes. You have no business getting in front of people, telling them anything. And then, after a few minutes, the reality dawned on me. And then I came to realize that it is not only my business to have this opportunity to be here, but actually it's a responsibility. And I would be remiss and almost a disservice if I didn't capitalize on this opportunity to come here and share with you all what God has done for me. So, because of that sense of gratitude, I often feel like I just want to tell somebody. So the topic is pathway. So today, in my life, I'm on a path. By the way, I was just joking. You can look at me. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. You don't have to, it's okay. You can look at me, please. Today, I'm on a path. And I have some sense that this path that I'm on today sort of familiar. Now, I like to think that I was on a path at some point in my life. So when I think about even the way that I was brought up, my mom was not a religious person. Surely was a spiritual person. And I say that because she always referred to her God. And then when I think about it, I'm not sure if she ever really identified her God by name. She just always her God. And I'm telling you, I wasn't sure. Whoever this guy was, he was all right with Mama. I guess he was like all right with me. And she had instilled values, morals, and principles in all of her children. I'm being the youngest of four. But I guess at some point in my life, those values and morals and principles had escaped me. And the path that I was on, I sort of veered off of it, so to speak. Now, I'm just reflecting back. Because Mom did a great job in raising us in a place in an atmosphere that oftentimes was not pleasant. And I have some siblings who, guess I can say, stayed on the path. But I didn't. You know, and Mom used to often say to me being the youngest, she used to often say that the jury is still out on you. So she used to tell me, right? Because it was some things that I don't know about you. So, I guess that thought, that comfort of Mom in this moment allowed me to have a sense of gratitude as well, because Mom is not here in the physical. However, she is here in the spirit. So, our pastor, I guess with this format, I can refer to him as pastor. Sometimes I refer to him as pastor. I refer to him as sponsor. I refer to him as friend. And a lot of times, I often look at this particular guy as sort of the dad that I never had. Well, something just dawned on me. I think I'm going to officially make it like an official father-son relationship and start asking them for some money. Maybe. I think that'd probably work. I think it just dawned on me. So, I had asked my pastor at one point. I had asked him some questions, and he had shared with me a path that he was on. And what he said to me was that he's in search of the truth. And then as I was what is the truth? He went on to say, God is, nothing else. And I'm just going to tell you, it really sounds good. It really sounds good. And in hearing that, I had a sense that he is someone that I should follow. And I'm sharing that because it's very important as far as where I am today, this path. So, this path that I'm on now is consistent with the power of prayer. And I'm going to go on to share with you 12 prayers that's become a part of my life. And I'm going to start with the first prayer, sort of to get into a practice of what I'm finna preach. Because right now in this moment, I'm sensing that it's very important that I take this moment and just surrender to the presence and the power of the God that is in me and all around me. So when I take that moment to share that prayer, it makes me aware that I'm not alone, that there is some help within, and there's some help without, so to speak. So that's very important for me to note, because this path, this practice has not always been a part of my life. So to think about the suffering, anytime there's a level of suffering, I realize that it is resulted from falling into what we refer to as a self-centered sleep, feeling this separation from God. So for a long time in my life, I've been separate from God. And as a result, my life had veered off the path into a destructive zone. So I became a part of a lifestyle that was destructive. So this is my testimony. So I need to share the good that God has done for me. The lifestyle that I had chose in the beginning, it seemed all right. It actually seemed fun. It actually seemed acceptable. Because I come from a place where my surroundings wasn't always pleasant. So I had a choice to sort of, what we often say, to pretty much get in sort of where I fit in. I had to find a place, because I was already feeling some sense of fragmentation, and I was caught up under the illusion that if I can surround myself with a certain group of people, then I can feel as though I fit. But that was an illusion. So what had happened was, I started to search for some sort of ease and comfort. And I got to a point where, as I started to want to alter my mind and change my mood. So I started to drink a little bit. I started to smoke a little bit. Had no idea that in doing these things, that these things can become or would come progressive. And I'm just here to tell you, it got progressive. And it got to a point in my life where I found myself doing things in my life that had actually gone against the values and morals and principles that was instilled in me. Although I had a sense that something maybe wasn't right because I had a conscience, and I was slowly starting to lose the consciousness of good. And through drinking and indulging in these drugs that was available in the neighborhood, I started to buy into the idea that this is the one way that I can feel right. But you know what's interesting about that? I'm not sure I ever felt right. And it got to the point where in the midst of all of this, I met a young lady and I started to have children and I started to raise my family, and it had got so progressive to the point where as I started placing it ahead of, their welfare, and had some times where the consequences of things I was doing had me in jail, But I guess the end of the road was when I found myself, this family whom I love so dearly, found ourselves homeless. After many years having a roof over our head, and although that was a struggle, let me tell you, but it was manageable. And then it just became totally unmanageable. And I guess one of the greatest fears of man could be to go outside these doors and not have a place to go. I'm talking about in this vast universe to not have a place to go. So something happened. And this is an idea that I often want to carry with me, and this is an idea that's been shared with me in the midst of the darkest time. There's always an opportunity for good presenting itself. And I'm just going to tell you, in the midst of being in the depths of despair, experiencing a sense of hopelessness. I'm talking about in a lifestyle whereas I knew, I was almost sure that the only way out of this lifestyle was death. And at the time, the worst thing that ever could happen to me change of events happened. And in some circles, they refer to it as a silver lining. And my mom used to always say, it's always darkest before dawn. She used to always say that. I'm not even sure if I knew ever what it meant until it became experiential in my life. And having transitioned from a place of desperation and hopelessness, shifting from wanting to die to wanting to live. Through a change of events, I ended up here. In a new way of life. So as a result of getting into a practice of prayer, starting to surrender into this presence and this power of the God that is in me and all around me, triggered something. A sense of hope. This hope that opens the door to faith, which restores me to this sense of wholeness, is a feeling that I